Let this story begin by making you all feel the atmosphere of pressure, skepticism, and the wave of disdain that washed over them. Imagine a street in Germany during a grand annual parade, watched by the whole world. Military bands and groups from different countries gathered here. Everyone was dressed in full-dress uniform, showcasing culture and national pride. It was an event of global scale, and even the host country, Germany, displayed its best forces, including the Bundeswehr bands, Bavarian brass groups, and several specially formed military orchestras. Groups from abroad also gave their all, not only demonstrating their skill, but also waving national flags and wearing national costumes to declare to the world how great their country is. However, among these impressive international groups, there was one that looked much younger and more inexperienced. It was a band from a girls' music school in Vancouver. The participants were about 14, 15 years old. They were not tall and were dressed in simple, modest red and white uniforms. Their appearance among professional military bands, university ensembles, and professional musicians looked particularly noticeable and alien. Some foreign groups looked at them with a half-contemptuous sneer and whispered quietly, "Can they even handle this? Did they come here just to play around?" In particular, a rumor spread that a band from the USA did not stop laughing, saying, "We Americans are the best here. How did these kids even dare to step on the same stage with us?" What was worse, a French military band standing behind the Canadians also mocked the group of girls. "This is a world parade in Germany. Do they think this is a school event? Some group of schoolgirls is going to show their skill. What arrogance!" Hearing these derogatory words, the Canadian girls felt some uncertainty, but they were reassured by their teacher and band director, Miss Elizabeth Miller, who whispered to remind them, "We rehearsed in Canada countless times. Do not be afraid of what they think. Just do your job as best as you can." Despite their young age, they had rich experience participating in national competitions, as well as intensive and systematic training at school. Someone might ask, can schoolgirls really be that good? In Canada, many school bands have a level not inferior to university ones, and some have even won international awards. Foreigners simply might not have known about this. Ms. Miller looked at the girls and said, "Pay no attention to the negativity. You prepared with all your might. We were even able to close Granville Street in Vancouver for rehearsals. This stage in Germany is just an opportunity to show the world what we are capable of." On the next day, the parade officially began. It was attended by the British Royal Guards, Scottish bagpipers, a folk ensemble from Austria, a column of floats from the USA, and military bands from many other countries. The event lasted several hours. The atmosphere was tense, like at a military review. Many people took places along the road to watch the annual performance. Flags of every country waved proudly. Media from all over the world sent their reporters so as not to miss a single important moment. Initially, leading groups performed, such as the German Army Band, which performed so coherently that it caused a standing ovation from the audience. They were followed by the collective from the USA, which performed an energetic march, receiving quite a lot of applause. But it was rather polite applause than enthusiastic. And then came the turn of the Schoolgirls band from Canada. When the announcer announced that these were schoolgirls from Canada, many viewers were surprised. "Wow, are these schoolgirls?" Some reporters immediately readjusted their cameras to capture their cuteness or possible mistakes. As soon as the orchestra appeared, some members of the American collective, standing nearby, began to whisper, "Look, those kids again. How well can they even play the saxophone?" The French band, located nearby, also whispered, "They clearly came to spoil the holiday. If they play badly, we, a professional military band, will show class and surpass them." Although these remarks were not loud, the girls in the front rows heard them. They glanced at each other, answering nothing, only gripped their instruments tighter and took a deep breath. "We cannot disgrace Canada." When Ms. Miller gave the sign, a deafening sound of drums rang out. The melody was incredibly powerful and confident, but even more striking was their perfectly synchronous movement. Left and right feet stepped in unison, the movements of the instruments were united. Combined with their focused faces and bright maple leaf uniforms, the picture turned out to be lively and very expressive. The crowd, which was indifferently waiting for the next group, suddenly turned around to look and listen. Everyone took out mobile phones and cameras to photograph this group of girls without hesitation. The announcer could not restrain an exclamation. "Oh my God, are these really schoolgirls? Why are they so precise, like a professional military band, and at the same time have so much energy in them?" The music they performed did not sound childish at all, but was confident and amazingly accurate. They also performed various formations, for example, a beautiful snake, which caused loud applause from the audience on the sideline. Some even wondered if they were a professional military band disguised as schoolgirls. But when it was announced in English and German that they were from a girls' music school in Canada, their average age was only 15 years, and they trained hard for more than 6 months. The applause of the audience became even louder. The French band, waiting for their turn, was stunned to see this. They thought they would become the stars of the show, but now all eyes were riveted on the Canadian girls ahead. One of the participants muttered, "How is this possible? These kids are too good. We need to try harder." As for the American band, their disappointment was obvious, because they just said that "we Americans are the best," and now the whole street roared and applauded the Canadian girls like crazy. Some even shouted, "Bravo, Canada!" An American photographer standing nearby said, "No wonder. Canadians have it in their blood like they're hockey players. You can feel that they have amazing teamwork." The person nearby replied, "Exactly. Canada seems to be a country where great importance is attached to cooperation and discipline." This conversation quickly spread among the viewers, and many nodded in agreement. In the end, when the Schoolgirls band from Canada reached the end of the parade column, they received the loudest applause that day, which echoed all over the street. Lowering their instruments, everyone hugged for joy. They knew that this was recognition on the world stage. Tears welled up in the eyes of the leader, Sarah. "We rehearsed thousands of times for the sake of this day. Finally, we did it." The performance of the French band, which came out next, was, of course, overshadowed by the heat of passion from the previous number. Although they performed well and received applause, all the enthusiasm of the audience was already given to the Canadian girls. After the event, various media came out with headlines. 14-year-old band showed a stunning performance at the level of professional military. The video of their performance went viral on social networks. Internet users from all over the world admired. "Too coherent." At first I thought it was an army band. And when it was confirmed that their real age was from 14 to 15 years, it caused even more surprise. At the festive evening, the Canadian girls were finally able to relax. They hugged and laughed. I imagine how ashamed those who underestimated us are now. Ms. Miller smiled and replied, "We do not need to make fun of anyone. The main thing is that we showed the world the potential of Canada." As for the French band, when reporters asked their opinion about the Canadian collective, they first looked a little embarrassed, but eventually honestly admitted, "We really underestimated them. Their performance deserves respect, and it taught us never to underestimate an opponent." Just a few weeks after the event, the Schoolgirls band from Canada received invitations from other international music festivals around the world. They instantly became new stars on the world stage. And this became a huge contribution to the positive image of Canada. A year later, most of the participants moved to high school or universities, but the precious memories of that day remained. Some decided to continue their musical education, and someone even entered the Royal Military College, hoping to one day become a real member of a military band. When journalists again interviewed Sarah, one of the leaders, and asked what she felt remembering that day, she replied with a smile, "Both the French and American bands laughed at us, but we were not angry at all. We knew that our music and our steps would say everything for us, and the result proved that even school students can achieve great things. I hope that in the future, I can use music to impress the world, and use the spirit of teamwork so that everyone knows that our Canada is an extraordinary country." This story may be just a small episode in the eyes of some foreigners, but the fact that a small group of girls was able to use their abilities to prove the boundless potential of Canada on such a serious world stage is something to be truly proud of. Perhaps this is what the American photographer called signature Canadian teamwork. But be that as it may, on that day in Germany, they were real stars without any doubt, and made the whole world learn that school students from Canada can reach such an amazing level. When the plane with the students landed at Pearson International Airport in Toronto, they could not believe their eyes, seeing what awaited them. A huge crowd, families, friends, younger students, as well as dozens of reporters and photographers, gathered in the arrival hall. Posters with the inscriptions, "Welcome back, our heroines," and "Pride of Canada," were raised high. As soon as the girls in the band uniform came out, the hall exploded with applause and welcoming shouts. They who just a few days ago were just shy girls facing contemptuous remarks now became national heroes. The tears rolling down their cheeks were not from fatigue, but from the joy and pride overwhelming them. Their story quickly became a national phenomenon. The Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Canadian Heritage held a special awards ceremony with certificates of honor, and also awarded all participants the title of Young Ambassadors of Canadian Culture. Their photos appeared on the covers of magazines, and the story of their journey was included in school textbooks as an example of unbending spirit. Their success caused a huge resonance. The girls' school where they studied became known throughout the country. The number of applicants to the school music club increased sharply. Schools across Canada began to invest more in art and music projects inspired by their story. The government also announced the creation of a new fund to support talented youth for participation in international competitions. 5 years later, the flame lit on that day still burned brightly. Sarah, the leader of the orchestra on that day, now became an excellent student at the Royal Conservatory of Music. She chose the specialty of conducting with the dream of one day leading the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. She often shared her experience with younger students. Do not let anyone tell you that you are not good enough just because you are young or come from somewhere. Let your abilities become your proof. Another participant, who played the trombone, fulfilled her dream by joining the Royal Canadian Navy Band. She turned the experience in Germany into a driving force on the path of a military career to serve the homeland with the help of music. As for the other participants, although they did not follow the path of professional music, the spirit of teamwork and iron discipline learned on that day forever remained in their hearts. They achieved success in various fields, from business to science, and are still proud of what they did together. Relations with the American and French bands also changed. At other international music festivals many years later they met again. There was no longer any ridicule or fierce competition, only respect and admiration for each other. They exchanged experiences, and bands from both countries admitted that the performance of the Canadian girls taught them a valuable lesson that one cannot underestimate others. The story of the Canadian Miracle became a legend in the circles of youth music in Canada. It was not just a beautiful memory, but living proof that with diligence, team spirit, and a brave heart, extraordinary things can always happen. Every time a youth orchestra from Canada prepares to enter the world stage, they are always reminded of the story of their predecessors. They proved that it does not matter how small you are. As long as you have faith and unity, you can create a sound that will spread all over the world and bring glory to the Canadian maple leaf.